moving on to Bitcoin. Shout out to Hal Finney, the likely creator of Bitcoin, in my opinion. If not, he's the first person to ever receive Bitcoin from Satoshi. So shout out, Mr. Hal. May he rest in peace. So, in crypto, things have been quite exciting. The SEC had 2 lawyers resign after a federal judge sanctioned the SEC themselves for false statements and abuse of power. Abuse of power in a crypto legal case. So a judge basically came in and said, SEC, I'm sorry, you guys are way out of line. And these people actually career businessmen, like deep into their legal law firm or law careers, actually resigned from the SEC. So this was last week. And, did SEC kind of chill out and roll over? No, they came back firing. And the developers of Samurai Wallet were actually arrested. One of them was actually extradited from Portugal. And why? Because the Samurai Wallet is Bitcoin private. And all of these developers are facing 25 years in prison for writing code. Sending a message, needless to say. There's been a lot of talk on crypto recently, and crypto Twitter talking about like privacy is not a crime. I fully agree. I think you should be able to send money wherever you want and not be monitored. It is what it is. But they're coming out hard on that type of stuff. In addition to that, the FBI actually warned against non-KYC Bitcoin and crypto money transmission services. So basically, they're coming out any type of person using any type of crypto services to like do payments or something like that. They're coming at it as a money laundering scheme. Where like, hey, you need to be making sure you're using a place with KYC for F's sakes. So considering all the leaks we've had with like people's private information, I'd rather be able to just use anonymous payments. It's not like cash isn't anonymous. You can hand a stranger a $100 bill. It is what it is. What's up, Pixa? Bald squirrel. Yeah, that's my favorite picture of Hal Finney, by the way. Bald squirrel. It's him with his pupper. Yeah. So this is just absolutely ridiculous. The same thing. It's open source code. I think Samurai may be open source. I don't know, but like the Tornado wallet stuff or the Tornado stuff, that totally is open source. That they yanked that dude out of Europe and put him in jail so fast. But one of the most beautiful things about Bitcoin, Satoshi is anonymous, likely dead, in my opinion. Because if it's not Hal Finney and it's not the original guy, I'd imagine they're either in jail or dead at this point. Otherwise, the funds would have moved. But the point here is a really good one. If Satoshi wasn't anonymous, he'd already be in jail for life. I guarantee you, Senator Warren would have him in a commission and be yelling at him and all this stuff for contempt and be going crazy about it. So it's kind of a nice feature. We don't know who it was. We'll never know. And hopefully they never show back up. As much as I would love to interview them or hear them talk, where they may be, it's really nice that the government can't pinpoint who it is because they can't make him a scapegoat. It's just a name, right? It's actually kind of a miracle that, like, probably if this would have been developed maybe like 5 years later, man, I don't know if you could have kept your anonymity through all this, because it's got to be one of the most widely known anonymous persons in the world at this point, would be my guess. But moving on to Bitcoin, ETF flows. I've been waiting so long for Grayscale to get under 300,000, and they are like exactly at 300,000, like 200 Bitcoin or something like that. So next week for sure, we'll get them out. We'll get them bleeding out, and I'll update my bleed Grayscale out chart sometime before the next stream. But the point here is the run for IBIT finally stopped. They actually had their inflows. They had I think it was almost world record, if not world record, number of inflow days. Finally came to a stop. Yesterday, BlackRock came in at 0, and Grayscale actually sold 130 million, twice the day before. Today, they sold 140 million, while the other numbers are still coming in. So we had actual net outflows of the ETFs. Big deal. Big deal. And you're asking yourself, shouldn't price be like negative 20 right now, below 0? Well, no, it's not. It's still trading in this Wyckoff range. So I'm going to cover this one. If you didn't see this tweet, this is one of the broad tweets of this last week or this week that kind of got a lot of people's attention. But we are getting into crypto where Bitcoin is just ranging. And a lot of people are freaking out. If you zoom out on this bad boy and you pull all my schematics away, we're like arguing over, can't even see it with all my markups, this little bitty area here. Everyone's so zoomed in. And 4 hours is my favorite. That's where the default tuning is for all Rainbow Trend products. We look at here and we slow down. Let me hide that because that's the distribution range. So this is kind of the Wyckoff schematic that I like for reaccumulation. And this is where I started sniffing out this creek here. And I try to draw this line here that's on a lot of them, and then the wigglies here. And that's what we kind of made the calls like, hey, everyone's freaking the F out. This is a creek. It's designed to freak you out and make you capitulate at the bottom. And we had multiple wicks into the support order block that's been marked by the actual algorithms here. We tagged it and we wicked it 2 more times, and then we jumped out of this thing. So from the bottom wick, we actually got a 13% move out of Bitcoin. And then the markets this week kind of fell off. And I had some people messaging me and DMing me like, hey, is the Wyckoff schematic dead now? Are you dropping that? And to answer that question, no, I'm not. And it's not that I'm being stubborn. For me to say this is invalidated yet, I kind of want to see this touched or tested. And right now it doesn't look amazing, but we're still not there yet. A lot of this type of chop after a creek jump is all over the place, and then it eventually comes up here and does its thing. That's weird. My mouse got all messed up there. So my point is, I'm watching it. It doesn't look amazing. I would love this just to go straight up to the range, but we're kind of seeing some pullback and some chop, and maybe it should grind through. Right now, the S&P 500 and a bunch of stocks are not doing great. We're having negative outflows. The SEC is moving on a bunch of stuff, and price isn't just doing this, right? So keep that in mind. It's holding kind of resilient, and this type of stuff is just going to be choppy as F. So for me, I don't care. I'm not like low time frame scalping on leverage. So if you're scared, do your thing, but we're still above this creek, and I'm not really interested unless we touch this again. If it touches this again, I have seen creeks that do this, and then we go. But I don't want to keep retesting this lower order block. The more times we test it, the more likely it is we cut through it, and I don't want to do that. So either way, I'm waiting on the chop, and we'll see. Bitcoin's either going to show up on this support order block in the 60s, or it's going to hit this one in the 74s. That's it. There's no other options here. It's not rocket science. A lot of people want to overcomplicate this like Wyckoff schematics to a T and just argue for freaking days. We have our support range, we have our resistance range, and we're grinding through this, and it's just eating people's capital up. We just had that happening like a week or two ago. Don't capitulate. Like, there's not time to get liquidated. Not the time. You know, it's never really the time, but like, you know, with the way these markets tend to start off after a halving, don't lose your capital now. We're looking at good things to come. So anyway, we jumped the creek. Things are not looking amazing. But that's where, if you ask me, if we touch this, I'm calling this reaccumulation chart wrong, or back it up a little bit. Maybe we do this where we bounce again and do that. And the reason I say that, I think it's, let me do a quick check. We'll edit this out in post if I'm wrong, right? Let me go see if I can find it. There's one Bitcoin one in particular that does it. And I think it's this one. So this is kind of that mountain. Now this is after the first time we broke 60,000 and we came falling back down, and like Binance lights actually went on. This is kind of the creek. Bounced and did it twice, and then it went, right? So this is what I'm kind of saying is like, you know, maybe we bounced up, we're here, and we're going to grind back down here and then test and go again. That's kind of like my last way I'll logically tell people that I think this is a creek. After that, if that's invalidated, I'm not saying that's a creek anymore. But so far, we're still on target. We're still doing our thing. Things are looking good. a lot of people want to get bearish when Bitcoin's above $60,000, and I'm not in that camp personally. But our all-time high order blocks is that red one, or not that red one. It's up here. Oh, I don't have it on this chart. My bad. Or nope. I'm sorry. One layer higher. There it is. That's the all-time high order block. So as you guys saw, we come down and kiss this, and then we grind down again. That's kind of what I'm talking about. You can go back and study that 30K one that happened, but that's what we're looking at for Bitcoin. Until then, I don't really care. I'm really kind of hands off on this. You can't really touch my DCA average on Bitcoin, so I'm just not going to worry about this. As well as I'm not really interested until we touch this or this. So as long as we're doing this, you're not going to see Runner freaking out at all. That's part of it. You might as well just draw a block here to where you can't even see price until it peaks up above, and you'll be good to go. So anyway, that's where my thoughts are on that. Also, you got to remember tax season came in. A lot of people had to sell crypto to pay the IRS. It's just part of it, guys.